Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the City Update. I'm your host Mark Aaron, Multimedia Design Manager for the City of Danville. Today we're outside of the Mass Transit Maintenance and Administrative Building here in the City of Danville. This facility has seen over $900,000 worth of improvements over the last year, and today we're holding a dedication ceremony here at the facility. About 98% of that $900,000 came from federal and state grants. The City of Danville put forth about $25,000 of the $900,000 that it took to complete this project. On today's show, Mark Adelman, our Director of Transportation Services, will be taking us on a tour of the facility. We'll also talk with Mike Atkins, who's the Director of Transportation for the Danville Public Schools. They both share this facility with maintenance on both their buses, the Mass Transit and the Danville school buses. They have about over 80 of those here on the property that they maintain, along with our Mass Transit buses that run here in the City of Danville. But first, let's take you into the dedication ceremony before we go on a tour with Mark Adelman, our Director of Transportation Services.
I'm very pleased that you are joining us today to dedicate some very significant facility improvements that have been completed over the last last year, I should say. As part of our activities today, Mark Adelman, Transportation Service Director, will complete a tour of the building after my comments. Before I begin my remarks, I would like to introduce the other members of the committee. First of all, Councilman Larry Campbell, would you please stand? Thank you, Larry. Joe King, City Manager. Joe, thank you. Judy Cassee, a member of the committee. Judy, thank you for coming. Shirley Crosby. Shirley, thank you for coming. Ralph Price. Yeah, Ralph. And John Moody. Thank you. Of course, I don't have to introduce Mark Adelman, who's our Transportation Director, and his associate, Lisa Bevins. Lisa. When this building was constructed in the 1980s, and I remember it was designed to only support the needs of the Danville transit system. Due to normal wear and tear over the years and expanded facility use for Danville public school transportation, there was a real need to complete renovations and construct a facility that provides staff with excellent training opportunities. During the past year, city staff and Danville school employees have worked together as a team with architects, engineers, and contractors, many of them who are here today, to make sure planned changes would be practical, cost-effective, and enduring. As you can see from the list on the screen, the focus of their effort was to improve safety, security, energy efficiency, and preserve the structural integrity of the facility for the long term. I believe the end result is a much better workplace for the staff and customers of both operations. This facility supports a very important function for the community. As a member of the Transportation Committee, I have seen over the years how demand for both public transportation and school transportation has grown, and how service delivered in Danville has always been provided cost effectively with a customer service orientation. I'm also pleased that the improvements we are dedicating today were designed to reduce operating costs. Custodial expenses is also kept to a minimum with the assistance of inmates that help with cleaning the facilities and buses. This cooperative arrangement with transportation is a good example how the city can work effectively together in meeting facility requirements. I would like to thank Danville City Council and the city manager for their support of the Danville transit operations in this project. While over $900,000 in expenses were incurred for renovation and construction activity over the past year, with federal and state funding assistance that could have gone to other localities, the city cost was contained to less than $25,000. To the Danville Transit and Danville Public School Transportation, please enjoy the renovations and congratulations on a job well done.
This is a dry board area here that we use for training, and we also have a screen there as well, and administrative staff and drivers will come in here in small meetings, and we have a projector here as well that can be used for all our training needs. Ken Calvert, architect, helped lay out the floor plan for this facility. We wanted it to be as functional as we could. We drew on a lot of our experiences at the airport with our conference activities and meetings that we have there. As you can see, there's a storage area right here adjacent to this office that allows us to bring tables and chairs back and forth as needed. We started this project in the spring of last year, of 2010. One of the first things that we did was focus on the parking lot. And if anybody's ever been involved with renovations, you recognize that when you're planning out the improvements, you have to also factor in how do you keep the building, your area operational at the same time you're making improvements. So we had to break up the parking lot project into two phases because we had to get buses in and out while we were doing all our renovations. So the first thing we did was, this used to be asphalt, this section back here. We bid out just to replace the asphalt with concrete, and one reason why we wanted the back end to be a concrete ramp area was because of all the turning movement requirements for buses. Because while they were working on the parking lot on the opposite side and on the west side of the building, all the buses had to come in and out of here. And as you can see, every single vehicle that was going to come in and out, ingress and egress, was going to be turning hard in this section. That's why we went with concrete for the back end. Another thing that you probably don't recognize as being a change if you haven't been out here before renovations is the fencing on the rear side. What we did was we blocked off the south side so that all buses were going out in a separate, exclusive way. Previously, buses could egress from the garage and go out through the employee parking area. That also contributed to some structural damage to the parking lot, which was resurfaced in the summertime by Adams. And Scott's here today, and Shane with Quality Construction. We got a lot of representation from our contractors. All the exterior wall lighting, wall packs were replaced as part of it. If you'll notice, you'll also see cameras located on the exterior of the building. There's 32 cameras. That was funding was provided through a state grant at 95% to cover the cost of the camera installation, as well as the monitors that you'll see, and also a new wall to help separate the maintenance area from the administrative area, which we're going to head to next. As you can see, we also have rear gate access, automatic, and you can see the yellow pole on the opposite side of the gate. Proximity cards are used. We don't have coded. It's basically a flash swipe card arrangement. Therefore, we don't have to change codes on a regular basis to protect safety and security here. Also, while we're here, we purchased through our stimulus grant a tire shed. We had no area for storing tires, so this shed on the far right-hand side is a tire shed for Danville Transit. The two sheds to the left are Danville Public School sheds for storage items. The entire exterior of the facility, including the roof, was painted. One thing that we really appreciate as a result of these improvements is the perimeter fencing that helps us control access. Personal vehicles, vendors' vehicles typically would congregate, possibly block garage bay doors. This way we're able to control our operations area very effectively. One of the major improvements completed to this facility, where you can really see a big difference after work was done, is this wash bay area. The entire facility of this wash bay was painted, the beams were painted. We put in new radiant heating tubes, more energy efficient tubes. There's new lighting as well, and as a result it's a much better work environment. Also very, very significant to the project was the construction of a fire escape. Unfortunately, buses have a tendency sometimes to catch on fire, and on the south side of the maintenance bay area, when we go inside, and you'll be able to see it easier from the second floor, we have buses located on the south side, and if a vehicle were to catch on fire or something else that were become hazardous, the stairwell was blocked for some reason. There was no way to get out from the second floor, so this fire escape was created. So one thing that we greatly appreciate is the administrative staff for Danville Public Schools Transportation, as well as Danville Transit, residing in a double-wide modular building for a 6-month period during renovation. So everybody had to vacate this facility from the summertime, I think it was June through November of this last year, 2010. You can see one of the unique aspects of our heating air conditioning system is this air handling unit here. It's very cost effective, very energy efficient, and we have another one of these units in Mike Atkins, Danville Public Schools Director's office. It's going to get very busy with phone calls here. New furniture, ceramic tile. We used to have VCT tile, which is a lot more maintenance. There's a lot more maintenance requirements associated with that. So we've reduced our maintenance costs. This interior was painted, new ceiling tiles, new light fixtures as well with sensors. They have 2 monitors upstairs, which you'll see here in a second. She only has 1 monitor on 16 cameras. At the second floor account clerk's office, she's got 2 monitors to show 32 cameras. You can see the different views. They're working now to shut down and move those, get ready for our transportation committee. Here's our wall. Prior to this, our main entrance to this garage, anyone could walk directly into the garage and go into the maintenance bay area. Drivers would congregate before or after their shift in the maintenance bay area. We thought that was a safety issue, so we constructed this wall that helps create that separation and improve control of access to the maintenance activities. This facility, for many of you who don't know, is a shared use facility not only with Danville Public Schools. This is the location where all, like, the police vehicles are washed, and also where all the radio installations completed for all city vehicles is done here at the Mass Transit Garage. This used to be the training area and break room for all transit employees and school bus employees, and over time, as we added part-time drivers just for Danville Transit, it used to be pretty claustrophobic in here. Very tight. We started out with approximately 18 to 20 drivers 19 years ago, and to reduce operating costs, and to improve flexibility with having sufficient staff for vacations and when there was turnover, we added a number of part-time individuals to our workforce, and now we have approximately 30 employees. So training opportunities are greatly enhanced with our new facility that you just visited. But this has been dramatically renovated: new ceramic tile, new furniture, new light fixtures, and right now it's being primarily used for small training as well as for lunch breaks. Fixtures in the maintenance bay as well as the administrative area have all been changed. We used to have high-pressure sodium light fixtures that there was no control, no programmable control capability. Now our lights come on at a certain time and they shut down at a certain time to reduce utility costs. As a matter of fact, our utility costs for this past fiscal year are about 10% less than the previous year. So we have seen already some financial savings from making these changes. We used to have radiant heating units that supported the maintenance bay area. We replaced them with all these different radiant heating tubes that are also programmable. So we've gained control over our heating air conditioning system much more so than we had opportunity in the past. This is the account clerk's office. She also dispatches when needed. But if you come in here, you can see the different monitors. I have this capability at the airport as well. I'm watching what they're watching right here. I have these same two monitors at the airport. And we've got 32 different views.
Well, joining me now is Mark Adelman, who's the Director of Transportation Services for the City of Danville. And Mark, I guess a great day for you all. This project's been going on for about a year now. And as you mentioned in your little tour you gave us, came in way under budget. As you mentioned, we used about 98% grant money to fund this project. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. There were 3 different grants that were involved with completing all the different renovations and the construction of the new training facility. We received a stimulus grant that subsidized a significant percentage of the overall cost at 100%, and there was no local match requirement at all. Then we also received a state security grant that helped us finance at 95% the installation of a camera system and the addition of a new wall to separate administrative areas from the maintenance activities. And finally, there was a 3rd grant, federal grant, and state matching funds that helped us construct our new training facility. So all in all, the total project cost was slightly over $900,000, but we were able to keep the city's cost under $25,000.
That's great. You mentioned safety and security, and for individuals who may not have visited the transit center here before, it's a big difference with the parking lot area and a fence that surrounds the area now. Can you explain that a little bit for our viewers who may not have visited the facility before?
Sure. The perimeter fencing was set up for a couple different reasons. First, to control access in front of the maintenance bays and to better cue maintenance activities for radio maintenance, for example, that's completed here. And also, we established perimeter fencing to help manage bus traffic so that it was not overlapping with employee parking areas, so that we're better able to separate buses from cars, and also will help with pavement maintenance in the future by doing that.
Well, now, as you look at the project overall, what are some of the things that you see will really benefit you and your employees here at the city?
Well, I think first of all, the replacement of the lighting system has been a huge improvement for our maintenance staff. The radio mechanic as well as the bus mechanics that work out of this garage, I think their ability to get the job done is greatly enhanced as a result of the new lighting. It's a significant change if you've had an opportunity to visit the facility before. And also, on the same hand, we're able to control our operating costs better because our lighting system is programmable, and it helps with security as well because our lighting system is programmed in such a way that certain lights remain on, and then plus we've got the camera surveillance system, so we're better able to manage and monitor activities that occur here. The replacement of old furniture is certainly a morale booster, and the replacement of the heating air conditioning system. We had original components here, condensing units, air handlers that were repaired and maintained, preventive maintenance-wise, of course, over the years. But now there were spikes in activity where they wouldn't require repair. So we've got a new system that's going to help provide for more consistent, improved heating air.
When was this facility constructed originally?
It was in 1987 and designed prior to that, and it was designed to accommodate primarily Danville Transit System and some additional growth. But with the Danville Public Schools Transportation moving in several years later, about 15 years ago, that it really required some modifications to support all the folks here.
And also where we held the opening ceremony there was in a new training facility. It's going to give you all great access, a much larger space to train your employees.
Right. It's not only helping out with our ability to train, but it gives our employees that work here an exclusive area to congregate before and after their shift, as opposed to overlapping in workspace areas that might be dangerous. And I think all the staff really appreciate the new training meeting area that was recently opened, and they're taking advantage of it.
Just to give our viewers an inside look at the facility and the operations, how many buses do we operate within mass transit here in the city of Danville?
We have 14 buses in our fleet. We have 9 vehicles peak, but Danville Public Schools has 58 buses in peak service. So there's a lot of activity, and there's a lot of folks coming and going here every day, over 100 different employees. So, and it was originally designed for a far fewer number. So I think we're better able to accommodate all the different needs that presently we have.
Well, Mark, thanks so much for joining us today, and thank you for taking us on the tour. Great job on the renovations. I know it's going to increase employee morale, as you mentioned, and already getting some good feedback from your employees, so we appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, joining me now is the Director of Transportation for the Danville Public Schools, Mike Atkins. And Mike, as Mark mentioned in his tour, this is a dual-use facility. You all share this facility with Danville Transit. Can you tell me a little bit about what the school system uses this for within operations?
Well, yes, we're very pleased to have the opportunity to be able to share this facility with Danville Mass Transit. What we do here is this is where we house our buses for the Danville Public School System. It's also where we perform our maintenance on our school buses to keep them safe for our children. And it also houses our administrative offices for the Danville Public School System Transportation Services.
Okay, very good. Now, I see where you're going to have a brand new training facility here, so I know that's going to be useful for your staff. Any other improvements that you're looking forward to utilizing in the new facility?
Well, we have many improvements that will benefit us as a group. The safety and security of our staff and of our bus drivers has been greatly enhanced with the perimeter fencing project and with the security cameras that we now have. You mentioned the training facility, which is a huge benefit to us. We had to train off-site. Now we can train on-site with our drivers and our staff, which we're very pleased about that. And the upgrades to the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems have provided us a much better area for our people to work in and enjoy, as well as in our shop area with the heating upgrades and the lighting upgrades has been a huge benefit.
Yeah, I was going to mention the lighting. I remember when I came out before the improvements were made, it was a yellowish tint, kind of pretty hard to work in. Now it's energy efficient and very clear lighting.
It is. It's very nice now, and in my visits to other facilities in our region, I can honestly say that what we have here is as good or even better than what most school divisions transportation services have at their disposal.
Right. Now, how many buses do we maintain here within the city of Danville with Danville Public Schools?
Well, with Danville Public Schools, we maintain approximately 80 to 85 school buses and administrative vehicles that belong to the school system.
And all school buses are housed on this site?
Yes, that is correct. Everything is housed here and maintained here and watched over in our lot here.
So is it a little easier to access for your drivers now with the improvements with the paving and everything here on the lot?
Well, what it's done for us is given us a greater level of security.
Okay.
The drivers now are not as nervous about coming in and checking their buses in the mornings. Many times, especially winter months, it's dark. But with the security upgrades that we've seen, that's put a lot of those fears to rest. And of course, the parking lot project has given us a parking lot now that we can park on hard surface.
Right.
It's not as susceptible to rainwater and potholes, which helps us and helps them too.
Well, I know we're getting ready to head back to school here in the city of Danville, so any words of wisdom to our viewers watching as they head back and see the school buses out on their routes?
I would ask all of our parents to please be patient the first few days of school. Please have your children to the bus stops at the proper times, and please cooperate with their bus drivers so that we can get them there safe and secure.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Mike, for all you do for the Danville Public Schools and for joining us on today's show.
Thank you very much, Mark.
That's going to wrap it up for this edition of the City Update. We would like to thank all of our guests for joining us on today's show. Mark Adelman, our Director of Transportation Services for the City of Danville, and Mike Atkins, who's the Director of Transportation for the Danville Public Schools, and want to congratulate them again on all the improvements that have been made here at the Mass Transit Administrative and Maintenance Facility here in the City of Danville. So until next time, have a great day.